Hello and welcome to December of 2020. We have an equinox and some eclipses and a grand conjunction. We've got a lot of stuff coming up this month, so fasten your seatbelts. I'm gonna check my notes here, and then we'll read from my book too. So on the 30th of November, we have full moon and partial eclipse. Okay. On December the 14th, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the new moon and a solar eclipse. And then on the 21st, we're going to have our equinox. And that's when we also have the great conjunction, and grand mutation. Or great grand mutation. I don't know. It's an exciting event. It only happens every couple hundred years. Also, I noticed that the moon enters Aries. Make sure that you're checking when the moon enters your sign so that you can do your monthly self recharge checkup from the neck up and the neck down and everywhere. Drink extra water, try to get a little extra rest, and just kind of focus on you for a day or two, okay? We are in Sagittarius season, so that's we've got a lot going on. We've discussed equinoxes a little bit. We've discussed eclipses for sure. So I want to focus right now on this conjunction mutation thing. So if you look out in the evening sky, it's kind of southwest. You may have noticed that Jupiter and Saturn are getting closer together. And they are. Every 20 years or so, they cross and meet. And then every 200 years or so, they do that in a different element. So, let's see. I know that my husband and we've been watching it. Where's my other note? Oh, on the 17th, we're also going to have the moon joining in that conjunction. So it's like Saturn and Jupiter are going to be right there, and then here's going to be the moon too. When we saw it last month, it made like an obtuse triangle. Sorry. It was cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how close it is. It is on the 17th. Imagine the gravity. Those are some huge giant planets. Imagine the gravity adding in that moon, even though the moon is smaller, it's so much closer. Imagine the gravity that is pulling on us from this conjunction. Let's see. Just for further reference, I don't want to go real in depth on Saturn and Jupiter today. We just did last month we just discussed the sun, moon, and rising, and next I would like to do Mars and Venus. So it'll be a while before we get to Saturn and Jupiter, but I would like to mention that until about the 1600s, Saturn and Jupiter were it. They were the giants. They were the main planets, because that's as far as we can see. They can be seen. You don't even need binoculars to go out and see this. You just need to know where to look. And until there was like telescopes and so forth, and we discovered more planets, that was it. So hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands, I don't know, since astrology started, Saturn and Jupiter have kind of been like the main go-tos. And then, so it's just been 400 years that we've had other planets. So they are very important in the grand scheme of everything, because they are very big too. But like I said, I don't want to go too in depth to that right now. I want to go ahead and read about, this is from my moon diary. I want to read about this great mutation in air. Let's see. Where do I want to start? Well, because they were called the chronocraters, or the makers of time, these two planets. And their cycle was seen as supremely important by the ancient Greeks. The celestial counterpart of their myth about to overthrow the old king, Saturn, by his rebellious son, Jupiter, every 20 years. And when they meet up, that's the conjunction. And then when Jupiter symbolically overthrows his father, establishing a new order for the next 10 years. And then Saturn gains the upper hand again 10 years when they're in opposition. So when they're conjuncting, they're coming together, crossing paths, and then they're going to, because one of them's inside the loop, one of them's going to go faster, and then they'll connect. And does that make sense? So we've got our conjunction, and then they're going to go opposition, and then conjunction. Okay, so that's what they're doing, if that makes sense. Both in the public arena and in the lives of individuals, this cycle represents the interplay of our longings and inspiration, Jupiter, with the limitations of earthly existence, Saturn. The element and sign that these meetings take place in describe much of the flavor of life during that time. This is where this 200 some odd years thing comes in. There's a much bigger cycle whereby nearly all conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn for about 200 years take place in just one element. After that, they move on to the next element, and so on in the sequence. This significant event is called a Great Mutation, and it represents a paradigm shift in the collective consciousness. Hello, 2020, anyone? Has everything just shifted and gone sideways and upside down? I think so. Excuse me. A major shift of emphasis and orientation in the world. It says the late Charles Harvey cites the example of the Great Mutation in fire in 1603 and relates it to the subsequent colonization of the Americas due to religious oppression. The next shift from fire to earth came in 1842, and since when nearly every conjunction has been in one of the earth signs, with the exception of a rogue triple conjunction of 1980 and 1981 in Libra. Now that Libra is an air sign, so, and we're moving from earth to air, so that could have been a little bit of a harbinger. And if you're old like me, you might remember a song called The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius by The Fifth Dimension. I think that song was produced before I was born. And it was only like a year or so ago that I put that together and realized, oh, The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius and by The Fifth Dimension? How slow am I? Anyway. So we've got this grand conjunction happening in a great mutation. Like I said, this only happens every 200 or so years. This is big stuff. And we're moving from this earth energy that's been kind of materialistic. When it moved in, that's kind of was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and mass production and things like that. Very materialistic, going into the 1900s. Then we had some world wars, and then especially in America, come home and even more producing, lots of producing, lots of using, lots of Brave New World type stuff. If you haven't read that by Aldous Huxley, it'll trigger you. Pick it up and read it. It'll trigger you because, yeah, that and Fahrenheit 451. That's a good one. And those were written like in the 1930s, so almost 100 years ago. Pick them up and read them. Okay, back to where are we at? Okay. Okay, so like I said, we're moving into air. We're moving in. This is all of these conjunctions for the next 200-ish years are going to be happening in air signs. Air differs from Earth in being much more idea and people-oriented and being a yang, outgoing, opening up energy. The lightest and fastest moving element, like think of issues going viral on social media. We can expect much more of this. There's a lot of technology. Air is that technology stuff too. It talks about artificial intelligence, the rise of artificial intelligence. Not sure how I feel about that. Anyway, don't panic. We're not going to all grow purple snouts. If we do, it's because it's 2020. It has nothing to do with this great mutation, I promise. So, I'm going to stop the information overload there for a minute. Take a sip of my drink and shift gears. Because as I was praying and meditating before I got on, hold on, my lighter's in my pocket. Had some angels come through for us for the month. Just so you know, I pray and meditate for you guys, specifically my Patreon people. Whenever I do these videos and so forth. And when I do your readings, I'm praying for you. I'm meditating. I'm doing Reiki. I've got my Reiki going. I'm asking, calling on blessings and angels and all the things for all of you. So we had Archangel Azrael and Archangel Raphael come forth. I had to grab my notes, sorry. Azrael is our angel of transformation. Again, don't think that we're going to grow a purple snout, but things are changing, and they have been all year. Just because this conjunction is happening on the 21st, which is the equinox, solstice also. Just because the solstice and this conjunction and everything is all kind of converging right here in December, doesn't mean that that energy hasn't been growing and building. Obviously, they knew about it in the 1960s because somebody sang about it. And the energy, you know, and it's going to just keep going. But this year has definitely, well, you know, so we're just gonna, this smells really good. I really wish that you could. I think in the 60s they had smell-o-vision. I think that was actually really a thing. I really feel like they need to bring that back so I can waft this at you. Okay, let's take some deep breaths, and then we'll do a little meditation. Welcome in the month. If you want to close your eyes, we're going to start with the 4x4 breathing. Here we go. One more. Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, We thank you for this time together. We ask that you send the angels and messages that we need. We ask for clarity and guidance of these messages so that we can use them moving forward into December. Another deep breath. Thank you, Archangel Azrael, for being here. We ask for your guidance as we go through these transformations. Thank you, Archangel Raphael, for showing up too. We ask for healing of the mind and body and spirit. Another deep breath. As things seem to speed up, help us to remember to slow down. Help us to remember to slow down, take care of ourselves, practice our self-care, practice our own meditations. Another deep breath. Let's do one more deep breath. If you want to start wiggling your fingers and your toes, another deep breath. Roll your shoulders back. Roll your neck around. One more deep breath. And open your